Okay, so this is it's going to be just a relaxing talking video. I'm going to try and kill two birds with one stone here, because this is primarily an ASMR channel, so people watch these videos to fall asleep or get a sense of relaxation. But then a lot of people also want to know about mental illness and a number of other things along those lines. And I think a lot of people would be going through this kind of turmoil at the moment. And it feels good for me as well, getting this stuff off my chest. Because, it's been pretty bad over this coronavirus. The last few months have been pretty horrible. So what am I going to talk about? I think let's just talk about 2020, and then I'll go into things that I've found out by myself, because recently I've gone through a very, very difficult patch of time. I've done too much thinking, and I've become very depressed, and I've had a whole lot of horrible thoughts. And then I kind of did a bit of research and realized that I probably have this thing called pure OCD, where you have constant recurring thoughts that you don't want to have about things that disturb you, and you can't stop them. They just keep coming, and then you become obsessed with them. It doesn't mean that you have to turn the light switch on 5 times or the world will blow up. It's more internal. I don't know if everyone experiences these thoughts, but I just become fixated on these really horrible thoughts. I don't mean to have them, they just occur, and they're very disturbing things that go against my values and everything, or could be something that I read in the news or stories that I've heard, and like really horrific things in the news. And then I think to myself, is it possible that I could be like that, or could I turn into that? Usually they revolve around violence. I'm not a violent person at all, but sometimes I have these thoughts. I think way too much about things, and I was smoking way too much pot, and that kind of made my thinking a bit distorted as well. But I had thoughts like, is it possible that I'm a schizophrenic, or could I turn into one? Could I lose all sense of who I am? And if I smoked too much pot, what really horrible thoughts, like losing my mind. And I was convinced of myself that this was the case. But the more I read about OCD, the more it comes clear. And it's so weird that I've been to many psychiatrists, psychologists, and none of them have ever suggested this was the case. And as soon as I read it and watched videos on OCD, Pure O, it basically described everything that I was feeling. And it kind of made me feel a bit better, a lot better actually, about my just thoughts in general. And this pandemic hasn't helped at all. It's like turned everyone's lives on their heads. Some more so than others. Some people enjoy this. Personally, I don't. It's very distressing to have your life thrown out of balance due to no fault of your own. It's just made me realize a lot of things. Yeah, a lot of things that I wasn't aware of in my life that need changing and stuff. And my attitudes toward things, certain attitudes, certain beliefs, certain ways I responded to things. If you haven't already, I love the Joe Rogan podcast. It's like one of the greatest things I've ever discovered, because he talks about a lot of diverse, interesting topics, but he talks about it from like the layman's perspective, and he's such a good interviewer, like coming from a comedian and a guy involved in mixed martial arts or whatever. Who would have thought? He has so many different guests on, it's so diverse and stuff. Listening to him has really helped my just becoming a more thoughtful person, I think. I hope this video isn't too boring for you, but it's what it's aiming to be. It's just me talking about basically things that are on my mind. So yeah, I started off 2020. It started off great. I had been saving up for a holiday for a long time, and I had always wanted to go to Hawaii, so I booked a trip for the end of January, and I went there for a week and saw so many amazing things, and I felt amazing. And I just like, it's amazing what a holiday can do. And at first, the first day I got there, I was a bit out of it, and because I wanted a break from smoking pot all the time, and I couldn't just give it up by myself, so I had to really force myself to go away, to get away from it where I couldn't touch it. And I did realise that it's pretty easy to give it up if you don't have access to it. It just doesn't bother you after a while. The cravings go away. The first day I was there, I felt I didn't know what to, it was like a culture shock as well. It wasn't kind of what I was expecting, but after a little while, and the thing with America, you have to tip everyone, and I was on a budget, and I thought I'm going to blow through my cash pretty quickly, so that was kind of worrying me. But after a while, I just realized, just try and get away with things if you can. Buy food from the convenience stores or whatever, and just trying to limit your tipping. But yeah, had a wonderful holiday. Came back at the beginning of February, and while I was over there was little murmurs of this coronavirus. Well, I don't think it was even called coronavirus. It was just, I know it was, because there was a few people joking about Corona beer. There's murmurs of it, like things coming out of China, and the Chinese people were kind of blocked from traveling if you were coming in from certain places. And then on my return home, the airport check-in was just ridiculously long. The line was huge, and people were wearing masks and everything, and I thought, what the hell's going on? And then I got back home. I was feeling great, and then the second week back, and then all of a sudden, people were talking about this virus in China, and it was kind of starting to pick up in other places. And then one day I just went to the shops to do some food shopping, and all of a sudden all the toilet roll was gone. And then I thought, what the fuck's going on? I thought, is this some big joke? And turns out it wasn't. People were panic buying. I think people were tipped off from China that it was coming, and all the Chinese people bought up everything because I'm not trying to be racist, but that's kind of what to expect that's how they operate. So, only think for yourself and do it in a sneaky way. So then there was that, and then things went into lockdown, and last year you wouldn't have even thought, if someone said you would be going into lockdown, you would be going, what the hell's, what is a lockdown? You wouldn't even know. This has been something that I don't think anyone would have ever experienced or imagined they'd be living through. It's just absurd. And living through it has been very strange and distressing at times, and you're always, like right now, no one has any idea of what the future holds. The economy has basically fucked itself, and they're talking about like the biggest deficit since World War II. Everyone is losing their jobs. People are worried about money constantly, and that you do notice that there's a shift in behavior. A lot of people are carefree because they've been through the lockdown, and maybe the initial lockdown was a bit too hard, especially in Australia. Like, they went really hard, and then I think everyone got sick of it after about 6 weeks, and then everyone was allowed out again. And now, because people have become complacent and carefree to a certain extent, there was all the Black Lives Matter protests and that, and people getting together and not adhering to social distancing during a pandemic. And now we've seen that was disgusting to see as well, just the whole George Floyd thing and the violence. You can't imagine what people are capable of doing to each other. That was disgusting to see and had a very large impact. Around that time, that's when I found my mental health collapsed, and I became very sick inside. And I had to wait 2 months to see a psychiatrist. I've finally seen one this week, but I've had to hold on and deal with these things myself. And it's been pretty hard, but then again, I've learned a lot of stuff about myself. I've had to force myself to think through things, not just rely on a pill to numb me or whatever. You just have to use your mind to think through things. That's probably been a good thing to me. So I'm just basically rambling about stuff here. Just whatever's been on my mind. It's good to get out. And hopefully it makes you feel that you're not so alone in your own problems, if that's the case. Because I found it very difficult to find decent ASMR stuff recently. It's very difficult. I'm getting tired myself, so I might call it a day or a night, whatever. I hope this has been kind of interesting to you. So the cases are climbing up again. I don't know what's going to happen, but hopefully things will get better. We're able to learn how to deal with things, and the initial shock is over now, and basically I've accepted this as a new way of life. It's not ideal. It's pretty scary, actually. but it's what humans have to do. They have to learn to cope with things like this. I guess the end message of this video is you are not alone if you are feeling a certain distress. Please don't feel alone. Go seek help if you can, because you shouldn't have to go through this by yourself. Seek help wherever you can, because sometimes you can't go through things alone. So that's it. Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening to this. And have a nice, relaxing sleep. Bye.
You're gonna burn in hell. 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 You're gonna burn in hell.